This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, we had Thomas on the show Tuesday. Didn't have him on yesterday, but he's back today on Thursday. Thomas, go ahead and tell him hello once again.
Hello. How we doing?
All right, so here's how the show's going to go today. First up, as we always do, or usually do, I guess we could say, we're going to be starting off with the NBA games, recapping the ones from yesterday. Had a couple of good games going on. Second segment, we're going to be talking about Lamar Jackson. Believe he had his pro day today, so we'll be talking about pretty much his draft stock, talk about him, I guess you could say, compare him to the other quarterbacks, just how, I guess, what me and Thomas's thoughts are as far as him being a quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Thomas may think he's a receiver. Who knows? We'll find out in the next segment. All right, third segment, it's baseball season. We got opening day going on today. Games are being played as we're recording this. Some games will be over by the time we put this out, and some games will be just starting. So we pretty much giving like a little overview for the season, just giving our thoughts, just chopping it up and stuff like that. And then for the fourth segment, as we always do, going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports, and going to be making our picks for tonight's NBA games, and maybe we'll make some picks for tomorrow's baseball games, possibly. Who knows? We'll see how we do. But either way, let's get into it. So first up, we had the Boston Celtics facing off with the Utah Jazz. I had a chance to watch this one yesterday, and I mean, Utah should have won this game, but nonetheless, I guess you could say they choked, gave up like 9. The Celtics went on a 9-0 run at the end of the game to win it. They won 97-94. All right, you had Gershon Yabusele, who got to start for Al Horford, who was out in this one with 3 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Only went 1 for 2 in this one, played 15 minutes. Jason Tatum had 16 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 6 of 15. Aaron Baines had 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 6 of 8. Terry Rozier, 4 of 15 from the field, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Pretty much was a bad player for the Celtics yesterday for 3 quarters. Fourth quarter comes, and the dude couldn't miss a shot, I feel. Jaylen Brown, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 6 of 10, 3 of 3 from the three-point line, and one of those threes came at literally the very end of the game where he hit the game winner. Ran a nice little play where they had to inbound it on their side of the court. You have Shane Larkin bringing it up. They space it out. Shane Larkin drives into the right side, kicks it out to Semi Ojeleye, who was being guarded by Rudy Gobert. And with Larkin driving in, you had Gobert drop into the paint, so that leaves Ojeleye open, and then you got Jaylen Brown hopping back into the middle of the three-point line, takes it, and ends up hitting the shot there. And speaking of Ojeleye, he had 7 points, 4 rebounds off the bench. You had Shane Larkin, who had 10 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 4 of 11 there. Greg Monroe kind of struggled, or actually did struggle in this one, 2 of 10 from the field, 8 points, 8 rebounds. And then for the Jazz, you had Derek Favors with 8 points, 5 rebounds, 4 of 6 shooting. Joe Ingles, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 4 of 12 there. Rudy Gobert, 10 points, 11 rebounds. Rudy Gobert's got like this whole little defensive player of the year campaign going on, and I really haven't seen Rudy Gobert much this season, to be honest, but watching him yesterday, I could tell why. I mean, the dude's one of the best. He is the best rim protector in the game right now. That's why Greg Monroe was struggling so much yesterday. You had Ricky Rubio with 14 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 4 of 14, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Donovan Mitchell had 22 points, 6 assists, but didn't shoot the ball relatively well, 7 of 20 from the field. And then you had Jay Crowder with 16 points, 4 rebounds off the bench, shot 7 of 14. All right, with the Celtics, I mean, yesterday when I made my picks for this game, I had the Jazz winning. They were 8.5-point favorites, so obviously Vegas thought they'd be winning this one pretty easily. And it's just, with this Celtics team, somehow, some way, they continue to win games, being injured against solid teams, too. They beat Portland the other day, who's the 3rd seed in the West. All right, they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's the 4th seed in the West. And then you got a Jazz team who, if they would have won yesterday, would have hopped up into the 5 seed there. But nonetheless, since they lost, they're currently the 8th seed. And it's just kind of ridiculous to see how Brad Stevens has his team playing so well. I mean, what do you think as far as, like, I guess we'll talk Coach of the Year, all right? Do you think Brad Stevens has probably this is the best shot he's ever had at winning it just because of the fact that they've been so hurt, but nonetheless are still knocking off top teams?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Brad Stevens, he's that coach where he's almost the genius magician in that half court offense. He's turning these players who were never seen starting. You never thought they were going to start at least get some major minutes this year, and he's turned them into very solid NBA players, and has got his team ready for the playoffs. Going against the Utah team, where they're sitting, like you said, in that 8th seed, who are playing could have jumped at least 3 or 4 spots with the win, playing at home. But no, Boston, they're getting ready. They're gearing up. They're sitting right now in the second seed, probably going to play a Miami team who is looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, like what Tom said too, with him turning guys who probably wouldn't get a shot into legit NBA players. I mean, you got guys like Shane Larkin. I'll continue to say it. Last year was playing in Spain, and Spain I don't even think is it might be one of the better European leagues out there. Would you say so?
Yeah.
So I'll give Shane Larkin that. He was playing in a really good European league, but nonetheless, that doesn't really compare to the NBA. You got him out here playing big minutes. I think he had the most minutes played for the Celtics yesterday. He had 34 minutes. Yeah, that was the most out of anyone on the Celtics yesterday. So, I mean, you got him playing big minute numbers. And you got Abdel Nader, who, I mean, no one really knows outside of, I guess, Brad Stevens and Celtics fans, and he's playing pretty well there too. So, yeah, with Brad Stevens, I mean, you got the Celtics currently still in the second spot. I believe they are they're 3 games back of Toronto. Toronto's got a bit of a tough schedule going on the rest of the way. Brad Stevens managed to pull off the 1 seed with the Celtics with Kyrie out, Marcus Smart out, and like pretty much just on any given day, anyone else could be out. I think he does deserve Coach of the Year, but either way, Celtics won that one 97-94. For the next game, we had the Cleveland Cavaliers facing off with the Charlotte Hornets. Cleveland won this one 118-105. You had Jeff Green with 18 points, shot 6 of 15, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. LeBron James had 41 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. Tristan Thompson got the start in this one, 2 points, 3 rebounds. George Hill didn't shoot the ball well at all in this one, 4 of 13 from the field, 1 of 5 from the three-point line, had 9 points. And then you had Rodney Hood, who got the start, 13 points, 5 rebounds. And then off the bench, you had Larry Nance with 4 points, 9 rebounds in 20 minutes. J.R. Smith had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And then there was no Kevin Love in this one. So I'm not sure, because he left the game. He only played 7 minutes, I think, the last game against Miami. So he might have got hurt. Didn't really
he got hurt. He got elbowed in the teeth.
Oh, yeah, elbowed in the teeth?
Yeah, he's on concussion protocol. He got a tooth was hanging out of his mouth.
Oh, poor
Looks pretty bad.
Yeah, poor Kevin Love can't catch a break then. So, yeah, I guess Tom said he was hurt, so he was hurt then. All right. And with the Cavs, you're obviously going to need Kevin Love. As soon as he came back, he was a spark for them. So it's just a matter of – that's one thing, too. We're getting a lot of injuries as the season's coming to an end, at least the regular season. But for Charlotte, you had Marvin Williams with 6 points, 5 rebounds. Dwight Howard had 19 points, 10 rebounds. Kemba Walker, 21 points, 4 assists, shot 7 of 18. Also became the highest scoring player in Charlotte Hornets history. All right. I think Del Curry was the one who held that record. And with Kemba Walker, I mean, he's been I don't know. What do you think of Kemba Walker as just a player in the league? I guess as a point guard too. Like, is he in that little conversation with guys like Kyrie Irving or Damian Lillard, or is he just like a tier below them?
He's a tier below them, I think. I mean, the only detriment to him, I think, is playing in that Charlotte market. I mean, you put him on a bigger team, he'd probably be like a good solid point guard. But I mean, he is obviously playing for the Hornets now. They're leader in points scored for that franchise. But I mean, no, he's probably right beneath that tier with Kyrie and Dame and Steph Curry and Chris Paul, Westbrook. I mean, he's right there, but that's probably because he's playing in that smaller market.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And as you get older and stuff like that, you start to realize like these markets mean more and stuff like that. You got Kawhi Leonard, who's one of the best players in the league, but the fact that he plays in San Antonio, I mean, he's not getting these big time Jordan Brand deals or anything like that. But anyways, you had Frank Kaminsky, who had 16 points, 5 rebound shots, 7 of 9, and once again, the Cavs won this one 118-105. All right, we had the Brooklyn Nets facing off with the Orlando Magic. Bad team versus bad team. Brooklyn won this one 111-104. You had DeMar Carroll with 14 points. D'Angelo Russell had 16. Alan Crabb had 13 points. And off the bench, you had Joe Harris with 14 and Caris LeVert with 16 points there. For the Magic, you had Aaron Gordon with 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Going to be curious to see what happens with him in free agency. Is a restricted free agent, so the Magic can match any deal he gets. But who knows? Maybe someone's going to overpay for him. You had Nikolai Vucevic with 24 points, 15 rebounds, solid game from him. DJ Augustine had 14 points there. And then off the bench, you had Shelvin Mack with 13 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. All right, for the next game up, we had the New York Knicks facing off with the Philadelphia 76ers. Philly won this one 118-101. For the Knicks, we had Michael Beasley with 22 points, 8 rebounds. Tim Hardaway had 9 points, 3 rebounds. And then you had Enes Kanter, 17 points, 14 rebounds. And off the bench, you had Emmanuel Mudiay with 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 8 of 15 there. For the Sixers, you had Dario Saric with 26 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 9 of 19. Robert Covington had 17 points, 4 rebounds. And then you had Joel Embiid, only played 9 minutes in this one. I think it was like I can't remember. Did you get to see the game yesterday?
Yeah, he got hit in the face.
It was by Fultz, right?
By Fultz,
I was
yeah.
watching it, but I couldn't remember exactly how Fultz hit him or whatever. But nonetheless, Fultz hits him in the face, and I think he left with like a facial contusion or something like that.
Yep, he had to get taken to the hospital, he said.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be, I don't think he has a concussion or anything like that, so it's going to be like a day-to-day type thing for him, I believe. But then you had Ben Simmons, 13 points, 10 assists, 2 rebounds away from a triple-double with 8. J.J. Redick had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and then off the bench you had Fultz with only 3 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 1 of 5. With Fultz, we got to be careful as far as, I guess, judging his play and all that, because he is coming back, and he's missed pretty much the entire season and played 4 games in October, but nonetheless now he's back, so we got to kind of temper expectations there. What would you say, what kind of Fultz numbers would you say would be successful for him being back, I guess, as far as points and stuff? Because I'm kind of like tempering it and all that. I'm not really sure. Like, he's not gonna be putting up like 15 points a game or anything like that. But
no, the average is different. But I mean, like that first, I mean, he put up like 10, 8, and 4, something like that in his first outing. Depending on those minutes, I mean, that was in 14 minutes, so probably that 10, 12 point range. If he's sticking to that 14 to 20 minute range there for getting on the floor. But I mean, like I said before, that Sixers team, I mean, they're already kind of gelling the way they were before he came out, and he missed, I mean, what did it say, 68 games I think he missed. So he's going to have to get those minutes if he's going to be any kind of a factor in the playoffs, and yeah, probably run that 11 to 14 point range.
Yeah, too, with Joel Embiid being out, I said it was day-to-day. That's just my speculation. It's not a concussion or anything like that. But, I mean, when that guy's not out there, this team doesn't really work out. So we would hope that everything's okay, and it's just a matter of something being minor. But either way, for the next game, we had the Memphis Grizzlies facing off with the Portland Trailblazers, and Memphis won this one 108-103. A bad loss for Portland here, all right? You had Al-Farouq Aminu with 5 points, 6 rebounds. Joseph Nurkic only had 12 points, 8 rebounds. Shabazz Napier got the start in this one, 8 points. We did not realize that Damian Lillard wasn't playing in this one, but either way, I mean, CJ McCollum, who did step up, had 42 points, 5 assists, shot 16 to 25 from the field. I mean, either way, with or without Damian Lillard against the Grizzlies, you got to pull out wins in these type of games. You had Zach Collins off the bench with 10 points, shot 4 of 6, and then Wayne Baldwin had 15 points, 4 rebounds, shot 5 of 6 there. For the Grizzlies, you had JaMychal Green with 6 points, 8 rebounds. Dylan Brooks had 18 points, 6 rebounds. Marc Gasol had 8 points, 6 assists. Mario Chalmers got the start in this one, 8 points, 4 rebounds. And off the bench, you had Chandler Parsons with 15 points, 3 rebounds in 19 minutes. Wayne Selden had 10 points, and then you had Marshawn Brooks with 21 points, shot 7 of 12 there, 5 of 5 from the three-point line. I think Marshawn Brooks hasn't been in the league since 2012. All right, so it's a nice little game for him being out for 3 years or so. And again, he's been playing in Europe and stuff like that, but it's a little bit different. All right, and then we had Atlanta facing off with Minnesota. Minnesota won this one 126-114 for Atlanta. You had John Collins with 10 points, 5 rebounds. Taurean Prince had 21 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 7 of 14. Dwayne Dedmon had 13 points, 12 rebounds. Mike Muscala had 24 points, 2 rebounds, shot 8 of 10. And then for the Timberwolves, you had Taj Gibson with 7 points, 7 rebounds. Nice little efficient game from him. Shot 3 of 4 from the field. Andrew Wiggins had 17 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 7 of 13. Karl Anthony Towns went off for a huge game right here. All right, had 56 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 19 of 32, 6 of 8 from the three-point line. Jeff Teague had 11 points, 8 assists. And then off the bench, you had Jamal Crawford, who had 10 points, 4 assists, shot 4 of 9, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. With Towns, I mean, I've been waiting all year for a game like this. Obviously, not to the point where he scores 56, but pretty much to where he's putting up monster numbers. I don't want to say game in and game out, but kind of like how Anthony Davis has been. You're kind of waiting for Karl Anthony Towns to take that next step. You know he's, I guess you consider him like a top 5 center, but he's just like not on the level of like a Davis or Cousins or anything like just yet. Like you're just waiting for it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, he's still in that younger category of talent that just kind of came into the league. I mean, yeah, he just breaks the record casually for most points in a game for the Minnesota franchise. But, I mean, yeah, definitely when you're saying those numbers that AD's been putting up, and, yeah, I mean, he's got a couple years on him in the league, but you'll see that. I think we're going to get that pretty darn soon here from Mr. Towns. Yeah,
it's like I'm waiting for the dude like just to dominate, be that one center where you can't be stopped. But we'll see about it. Like I said, Tom says he's got a couple more years, still pretty young, so we had to wait on it. Anyways, for the next game, we had the LA Clippers facing off with the Phoenix Suns. Clippers took care of business, 111-99. I think right now the Clippers are currently a game back of the Jazz since the Jazz ended up losing yesterday.
That was a big win for them.
Yeah. So the Jazz are a game back. Let's see, yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be close coming to them, but either way, for the Clippers, you had Tobias Harris with 27 points, shot 10 of 16, 5 of 6 from the three-point line. DeAndre Jordan had 13 points, 15 rebounds. Austin Rivers had 18 points, 8 assists. And then off the bench, you had Montrezl Harrell with 10 points, 6 rebounds. And Lou Williams shot 5 of 12, 13 points in that one. For the Suns, you had Marquise Quiss with 12 points, 13 rebounds, shot 4 of 11. Tyler Ulis got the start in this one, 23 points, shot 9 of 16. Troy Daniels had 15 points, and you had Josh Jackson with 18 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. And then off the bench, you had Shaquille Harrison, 17 points, 4 rebounds. First time I've seen a player with the name Shaquille since Shaq, I believe. I mean, not too many guys with the name Shaq out there, huh?
No.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Usually think Shaq was dominant.
Shaq Thompson for the Panthers, probably.
Oh, yeah.
He's from here, actually.
Yeah, he's from Stockton. Not too many Shaq players out there, so it's kind of weird because you figured Shaq was really dominant when he was out there. So you figure, I don't know, more kids would be named Shaq. But either way, we had the Lakers facing off with the Dallas Mavericks. Lakers won this one 103-93. I believe Lonzo left the game early in this one, was out with a little knee injury, I think it was. Have to double check that. But either way, for the Mavericks, you had Harrison Barnes with 17 points, 4 rebounds, shot 7 of 15. Dirk had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and you had Dennis Smith Jr. with 14 points, 8 assists. For the Lakers, you had Julius Randle with 20 points, 10 rebounds, shot 7 of 10. Brandon Ingram back in this one, 13 points, 6 rebounds, shot 4 of 10 in 23 minutes. You had Brook Lopez with 22 points, believe it or not, had more than 3 rebounds, had 7 in this one, 4 assists also, shot 8 of 16. Lonzo, before he left, had 8 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 3 of 7. And then you had Kyle Kuzma off the bench, 18 points, 4 rebounds, shot 7 of 14, 3 of 10 from the three-point line. All right, once again, the Lakers won that one, 103-93. So that's actually going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking Lamar Jackson. Tom's going to give us his thoughts on him. I'm going to give you my thoughts on him. I'm pretty much going to spend the whole segment talking. We'll talk about probably the other quarterbacks in this rookie draft class also. So we'll be doing that, but we'll spend most of the time talking about Lamar Jackson since he did have his pro day today. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Me and Tom spent that first segment recapping yesterday's games. All right, I gave out the scores and stats, and Tom gave me a couple of his thoughts on a couple of teams that played yesterday. All right, but for this segment, Tom's going to be giving me his thoughts on Lamar Jackson. All right, he had his pro day today, and I'm pretty much going to spend the whole segment talking about him, comparing him to other quarterbacks, I guess you could say. It's pretty much going to be just a Lamar Jackson segment. So let's get into it right now, all right? So with Lamar Jackson, obviously the biggest question is, can he be an NFL-ready quarterback, I guess? And it's obviously not from the jump or anything like that. If he was to play the quarterback position, he'd need a couple more years to develop. But nonetheless, you got guys like Bill Polian on ESPN going down saying that Lamar Jackson should play receiver, okay? And I don't know about you, Tom, but I don't think I've really seen anything from Lamar Jackson's game that that tells me, oh yeah, he's definitely not a quarterback. He should play receiver. Like, what do you think of him? I guess. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson?
Well, I think, yeah, like you said, he needs some time behind a starter that's already there right now, and maybe getting a year or two behind somebody, and with a good coach, good offensive game plan. But no, you've seen in college, he's got that elusiveness, he's got that speed and quickness. I don't think he ran his 40 because he's saying that his tape will show off his speed skills. But he did throw the ball. He's always got had a live arm, throwing that spread offense there at Louisville. But no, he needs to put some weight on, probably put some meat on them bones, but so he could take a couple hits. But I could definitely see him. I think he went under center today at his pro day, so he actually looks pretty good. And then he's going to feel like he needs to get to that up to speed of the NFL game, and then he'll be all right.
Yeah, and it's not like he was running like an Oregon Oregon offense or anything like that. Like, a lot of it was just pro style type offense, stuff like that. So he knows how to line up under center and the shotgun and all that. It's just and one thing you point out too, he didn't run his 40 or anything like that. And I think that's a smart move by him, just because of the fact that you run your 40, and that's just going to add more fuel to the whole, oh, maybe he could play receiver type thing. All right, because it's like Lamar Jackson, it's no doubt, there's no doubt he is the fastest quarterback in this draft class, and he might be faster than a couple of other receivers. So if like running the 40s, if anything, is just going to hurt his draft class or his draft stock or anything, stuff like that. But as far as Lamar Jackson goes, pretty much like what Tom said, he's got to develop under probably for a couple years under a solid quarterback and a team with a solid system already built in. I'd like to see him end up with a team like possibly the Saints. I think they got like the 27th pick. You got Drew Brees, who, I mean, he's got no more than 3 years left in him. All right, the dude's already 39. You got guys like Alvin Kamara out there who just started, who's just started in the NFL. Is going to be coming into his second year. I think Mike Thomas is going to be starting his third year. You got a very young defense who played well. I mean, that's the perfect opportunity for Lamar Jackson. All right, you end up with a team like the Saints. You sit behind Brees for a couple years, pretty much file into that little winning culture they got going on, because that team's going to be in the playoffs for the next couple of years, honestly. I mean, you got Drew Brees, doesn't even need to throw the ball like how he used to. You could hand the ball up to Ingram or Kamara, and it's gonna. That was their bread and butter this past season. It wasn't Drew Brees doing everything. It was Kamara and Ingram getting that offense going, and then Drew Brees takes advantage when he has opportunities to. All right, so you have a guy like Lamar Jackson sit back there. You already got Kamara, who's going to be starting his prime. Mike Thomas will be one of the top receivers like he is already in the league, and then you got the defense who's going to be pretty much developed enough to where they're going to be in their primes also. So I think the Saints would probably be the perfect spot for him. What do you think about the Saints?
I think the Saints, like you said, everything you said is right. My dream spot for him is Pittsburgh, because I feel like him behind Big Ben Big Ben, you said Breeze has got maybe 3 years left. Ben's probably around the same amount of time there, maybe even less. And him sitting behind their Big Ben for at least a year would be nice. In that Steelers, they have a good offensive culture. Obviously, they have the weapons with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But imagine Lamar Jackson running around with AB and Le'Veon. That'd be a sight to see. I mean, right there, because I mean, he has those. He gets some good skills from Big Ben. I mean, work on that footwork. Another bigger quarterback. I mean, he puts some meat on his bones, like I said before, with Lamar, to be able to take those hits. But he's another elusive guy, just like Ben kind of is, and be able to get the ball down the field. Yeah,
too, with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I feel like they do, like, Ben's obviously built way bigger than Lamar Jackson, but they do have, Big Ben at one point in time, I think they did have similar skill sets. Big Ben was that guy where he could be like elusive in the pocket, get out of there, and stuff like that. It was kind of weird because you see a guy built like Big Ben. I mean, he's not a skinny guy by any means. He's more on the heavier side, but you just see him pretty much getting out the pocket a whole lot when he was younger and stuff like that. Obviously not doing that now since he's getting older, but they feel like they do have similar play styles. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is way more athletic than Ben ever was, but that is like a little similar comparison I think I can make. A little far out there possibly, but I think it would work. But either way,
I'm just thinking about teams that have quarterbacks on the way out. Yeah. Maybe even the Patriots would look at him.
Yeah, the Patriots too, because I mean they really don't have a backup quarterback. They got Brian Hoyer out there, but let's be honest here. Brian Hoyer is the Jim Sorgi to Peyton Manning. Okay, that's all he is. I mean, Brian Hoyer done well to create himself a nice little long NFL career. But
how about Curtis Painter?
Curtis Painter.
He was the backup for Peyton.
Was he?
And then Peyton got hurt. He had to play for a little bit. I'm just thinking about names.
Was that the year where Peyton had the neck injury?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a terrible year.
I mean, it led to Andrew Luck. That's the one thing. You got to think, if Colts fans out there, you got to think about that. It led to Andrew Luck.
Yeah, poor Colts fans can't even really like appreciate Andrew Luck because the dude's never out there. And he's been out for like 2 years. It feels like. I mean, it feels like that game and he played a little bit the year after they lost in the AFC Championship to the Patriots, right? He played for a little bit.
Yeah, but they had no offensive line, and I feel like they have those highlights on NFL Network where they just have the montage of him getting absolutely smashed out there. I mean, every time I feel like his shoulder was just getting ripped apart because they had no protection.
Yeah, that's one thing with the Colts. They've been really blessed with good quarterbacks, but I mean, that front office has been so incompetent as far as, hey, maybe we should build an offensive line to extend our quarterback's career, or maybe we should build out a defense so we don't have to put up 45 a game or anything like that. But I mean, that's a whole different story. I mean, I have my little beef with the Colts front office and Jim Irsay. I really think Jim Irsay is just a wannabe Jerry Jones, if we're being real here. But like I say, getting back to Lamar Jackson, I mean, with the whole wide receiver thing, he should become a wide receiver. That's a very, very, very lazy take. All right, if you're under that impression, then either, honestly, you haven't watched Lamar Jackson enough, or you're just listening to Bill Polian, which you probably shouldn't. All right, people talk about like Bill Polian like he's this guru and all that, front office guru. I mean, I think I could have did pretty well if I picked Peyton Manning and had Peyton Manning pretty much making everyone around him better. All right, the Colts have never really had a solid all-around team. They've always been led by the quarterback. But as far as Lamar Jackson goes, yeah, like Tom said, I mean, he'd be better suited playing with a team like the Steelers, the Patriots, or even the Saints or anything like that. Some team that's picking late in the draft because of the fact that you can't put him. You could possibly maybe put him on a team like Miami where you got Ryan Tannehill out there, like a guy that's going to be there for a couple of years. You can't put him on a team where you got an AJ McCarron or a Josh McCown, someone who's only going to be there for a year. All right, you got to have him there under a few years at least. Kind of like how. Not as much as Aaron Rodgers was sat behind Brett Favre, because in the NFL, it's more so now as a results-driven league, and you can't spend a first or even a second-round pick having him sit for more than 4 years, I guess you could say. So with Lamar Jackson, if he ends up with a team where, like I said, he sits for a couple years and develops pretty much, just develops. That's all he's got to do. He's got the tools, okay? He's got a strong arm. He's a smart quarterback. He knows when to leave the pocket and all that. So now it's just a matter of getting ready for NFL game speed and pretty much just developing the tools that he has now. But one thing I see, too, is Josh Allen. We see him as a guy who's getting pretty much in all the mock drafts, either going number 1 through 3, possibly falling to 5, but more so it's those 1 through 3 spots. I've been seeing a lot that people are saying that the Giants are probably going to be taking a quarterback. Jets, we know, of course, are taking a quarterback at the 3rd pick, and then you got the Bills who could possibly trade up somewhere. They're not going to get past the Jets, obviously, but either way. We got Josh Allen, who had like a 55% completion percentage. Okay, and we got Lamar Jackson, who was, I think, was 56, 57. Lamar Jackson did more with his team. All right, granted, I mean, and that's one thing, too. Lamar Jackson played in a tougher conference, didn't have great talent around him or anything like that. Neither did Josh Allen, but Josh Allen was playing against the guys like Fresno State, and he was playing against Utah States, the Nevadas, and all that. And I feel like Lamar Jackson did more with what he had rather than what Josh Allen had. Josh Allen, don't get me wrong, does have tools to become a great quarterback. He's got the size, he's got the arm strength and all that, but it's just, I don't know, what do you think the difference is between the two? Like, why is Josh Allen going so high in mock drafts?
Well, he's got that, like you said, he got that size. He already has that body. I mean, I've already made I would try to compare Big Ben to Lamar Jackson regarding the elusiveness, but the real comparisons with Big Ben is Josh Allen. I mean, they have that big arm, big size, big body, but the only thing you got to think about is that Big Ben has that touch, that precision. Josh Allen has to get that. I mean, if he wants to be able to be an NFL quarterback, I mean, and live up to that high draft pick, because you're right, he's probably going to go within those first 5 picks. And if it's not to the Jets, hopefully maybe the Bills will trade up and get him, because he's built for a cold weather city. I think he's built for a city where he can drive that ball through the wind, and versus being in a place where, I mean, you see Josh Rosen going somewhere not like that. He's coming from California. I mean, and then Lamar Jackson, obviously, he's kind of be that running quarterback, not sitting in the pocket as much. Even that's kind of how you seem to win these days now in the NFL, sitting in the pocket, picking apart defenses. But no, Josh Allen's got to work on that. He's got to work on that precision. He's got to work on that accuracy, being able to fit it through those NFL windows, because they are tight.
Yeah, and with the whole, like you mentioned, Lamar Jackson being a quarterback where in this league you're not really too successful. We just haven't seen it really as many times as you would like, where you're more so a guy who gets out the pocket first and scrambles a bit. Lamar Jackson, one thing too, he's got to become a quarterback where I think you kind of turn into a Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a great pocket passer, but when need be, he can use those wheels and get out. All right, Russell Wilson is probably one of the better quarterbacks in this league, and just like you said, that's one guy who adapted to the way the NFL plays. Kind of like a hybrid, all right? Like perfect mixture of both, but nonetheless, it still works. Kind of like a Cam Newton was. Like Cam Newton's a nice little comparison for Lamar Jackson. Cam Newton's not really accurate as it is, but Cam Newton always finds ways, I guess, to, I don't know, he makes like those winning plays. Wouldn't you say? Like, just, he's that guy, he doesn't, I don't know, like I said, he's not very accurate at all, but he's just, there's something about him. He's like that it factor, I guess you could say.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's an MVP for a reason. He had that big breakout season, regressed a little bit lately, but I mean, he definitely has that arm. I mean, I've never seen a guy sling the ball on a frozen rope so many times in a game. I mean, when he forces himself to sit in that pocket and trust his lineman while he feels that pocket create himself around him, versus trying to get out and make a play, he can find those little spots over the middle, on the corners, throwing those out routes. I mean, that's all the different kind of throws you have to make when you're an NFL quarterback, and he has the arm strength to do it. And I mean, you're right, he makes those big plays. He can throw it deep. He can run by himself. I mean, he had the most quarterback runs, I think, in the history of the NFL in 1 year. So, I mean, he can definitely do it all, and he needs to get that Russell Wilson mentality where he is that hybrid.
Yeah, and as we're coming to the end of the segment, I mean, who do you think is the best quarterback coming into this draft? Obviously, I'm sure we both think a lot of guys got to develop, but who do you think has the more potential to be ready sooner, pretty much just be that quarterback, the best quarterback of this draft class? Who do you think is?
Well, after seeing him throw in the rain in his pro day, it's got to be the guy from USC, Sam Darnold. I mean, I feel like if the Browns do not pick him first overall, they're missing a big time name right there in quarterback. He probably is the only one that could succeed right from the jump coming out of the draft. I mean, I feel like Josh Allen and Rosen and even Baker Mayfield need to have a year or two behind another starter being the backup. But no, Sam Darnold for sure. After I seen him thrown in the rain, he's the number one guy, and he's the best one coming out.
Yeah, for most of the offseason so far, it's been me really thinking that Josh Rosen was that best quarterback in the draft class. I feel like he was more so ready to start out, but as I'm mentioning, Sam Darnold, like that whole pro day in the rain, okay, obviously it's a guy throwing in shorts, but throwing in the rain is no easy task, whether you're playing with pads or in shorts, doesn't matter. And it's not just the fact that he threw in the rain, he was leading his receivers, hitting them good as if he was playing in that 70-degree weather, like that 70-degrey California weather, all right? He was playing really well, so that kind of put me over the edge right there going with Darnold. But I think Josh Rosen is probably the next best quarterback after Darnold. Like Darnold has probably the most complete tools, I guess you could say, as far as a quarterback, that little prototypical quarterback. But Rosen is a guy who got to develop a little bit more. I think he does have that it factor though. All right. Go back to games like against the A&M game where they were down by quite a bit. Rosen making big-time throws, pretty much just fit them in a little tight windows. Those are things pretty much that you need. Obviously, these quarterbacks coming into the draft, they all got tools. They could all be successful. It's just a matter of development and stuff like that. But now you're looking for the guys with the it factor. Like I said with Cam Newton. Cam Newton, not the most accurate quarterback by any means, but has that it factor where he can make guys around him better and win in big situations. So, yeah, I'll agree that Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in the draft, but I also do like Rosen there too. But either way, we're going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking, it's opening day. We're going to be talking some MLB. Thomas is going to give us his thoughts on pretty much, we're going to talk, it's going to be a big overview over the league. So we'll see what we get to in that segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I got Tom here with me. We've been doing the show together. Let's see, what we talk about the first segment, Tom? We talked NBA?
We talked NBA scores, yep.
Yeah, then second segment, we talked Lamar Jackson, a couple of the other rookie quarterbacks, threw some comparisons out there. Good thing neither of us think Lamar Jackson is really a receiver or anything like that. We just think he needs to develop a couple of years, and that's one thing, too, I feel like people aren't understanding. Like, yeah, Lamar Jackson probably isn't the most pro-ready quarterback in the draft, but you give him some time to develop, he could turn into something pretty good. I think he is, all right? I mean, I got a little hot take I'm sitting on. Maybe he could end up being a better Michael Vick, possibly. I don't know. Like I said, I'm holding on to that one, but we'll see. I'm just mentioning it out there just in case.
That's a hot take right there, Jesse.
Just in case it ends up becoming true, anything like that. I'm just going to say, oh, wait, I mentioned it. Like, I had the thought, so before anyone else does, I'm just going to throw it out there. Possibly, who knows? But like I said, he's got to develop before we see anything else going out there. Michael Vick was a bad man. All right, but either way, for this segment, we're going to switch over. It's been a while since we talked MLB. I think last time we talked MLB was when Stan got traded to the Yankees. All right, really hasn't been too much news going on in this MLB offseason. The hot stove was a little cold this offseason. I mean, you did have J.D. Martinez going to the Red Sox, and that's one of the things right there. You got J.D. Martinez going to the Red Sox. We got Stanton playing with the Yankees. You got Aaron Judge coming into his second year. All right, and you got Gary Sanchez also with the Yankees. Feels like the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry is going to be picking up a little bit now that both teams are playing pretty well. All right, we got most people picking the Yankees to win the division, which I can agree with. All right, the Yankees, I mean, the Yankees are always like, they're the New York team, all right? You got the Nets. It's kind of like with the Giants and Jets in New York, okay? Obviously, the Giants are the team in New York. The Jets are like the little brother. Yankees are the big brother in New York. The Mets are the little brother, and it's always going to be that way. So I guess baseball is better when the Yankees are better, all right? So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, who do you think is the favorites in that AL East division?
Well, as much as I hate to say it, the Yankees probably are the favorite. And I think, like you said, all those big bombers, they're calling them the baby bombers now with Judge and and Gary Sanchez now obviously adding in the NL MVP and Giancarlo Stanton after that debacle over this whole offseason of where he was going to go. But the big X factor for them is that bullpen. I mean, Dylan Betances, you got Aroldis Chapman. They got, I feel like they still have another good, I think they brought back David Robertson. So, I mean, they have some serious arms and bullets in that bullpen where it's going to make that game shorter. You saw it with how the Kansas City Royals got to back-to-back World Series by basically shortening the game to 6 innings, where you were not going to score a run after that 6th inning because they had the guys lined up for 7, 8, 9, everybody getting just 3 outs, game's over. I mean, then they have obviously the bats to get to score runs. So just the matter of whether they can get those starters to limit the runs in the early of the game and limit the strikeouts for those big boppers.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Yankees right there, like you just mentioned. It's just a matter of you got the bullpen, you got the hitters, but can those starters get you 6 innings, game in and game out? Because like you said, last year, I mean, that was the biggest thing with the Yankees. All right, once you hit the 7th inning or whatever and they're winning, game's over. All right, you're not getting anything past these bullpen pitchers, all right? And then you get the Red Sox in there, and I do agree that the Yankees are the favorite to win the AL East right now. And you get the Red Sox out there who, with the thing with them, it depends on if JD Martinez could become that big power bat that has kind of been missing since Dave Ortiz left that team. All right, that was the biggest problem with the Red Sox last season. It was the fact that you had no one that you could fear in that lineup. All right, Hanley Ramirez, I guess, was supposed to be the guy that took over that, but Hanley's been kind of off and on. When he's healthy, he's good. When he's kind of dealing with injuries and playing still, he's kind of off, obviously. All right, so bringing in JD Martinez to go and pretty much protect Hanley in the lineup. I think you got JD Martinez batting 4th today and Hanley playing 3rd. Obviously, that's something where the Red Sox are going to have to depend on big time, at least to get those big power bats there. And then also, it's David Price. All right. You could say, actually, I will say that David Price really hasn't lived up to the expectations of the contract that he signed. I'm not really someone who wants to put someone's stats next to a contract, but David Price really hasn't even been the pitcher that he was with the Rays. Been injured and just kind of, it's been difficult, I feel, with him dealing with the fans, like the pressure from the fans of the Red Sox, okay? Because Boston fans, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's the Celtics, whether it's the Red Sox, they expect winning. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like Red Sox, like Boston fans more so are a lot different than fans outside in this country.
It's a different game. I mean, he came from the smallest market in Tampa Bay. I mean, and even pitching in the World Series as a rookie is big in itself, but even you're still playing for the Rays. When you come and sign a $217 million contract for the Boston Red Sox in the market here in the U.S. on the East Coast there, you're expected to win 20 games, at least 2 out of every 4 seasons, and take that team to a World Series. I mean, they did get that one in 2013, but no, he's definitely not lived up to the hype, and I feel like that pressure has definitely got to him.
Yeah, and he's come out and said that this is the best he's felt since he's been here as far as being injury-free and all that, and I guess that's something we got to pay attention to, see how it all ends up, because you got Price. If Price comes back and somehow, I guess, goes back to being the pitcher that he was in Tampa Bay, that's one of the best pitchers in the MLB. Okay?
And I think this year he's got a little pressure off. Obviously, they got Chris Sale coming back after that trade from the White Sox. That's a big 1-2 punch, having those 2 big power arm lefties. I mean, Chris Sale, that is one of the other than Kershaw, another lefty, that is some of the nastiest stuff you'll see coming down the mound, obviously from the left side. But that's almost unhittable sometimes from Chris Sale, and I feel like that's going to definitely take some pressure off David.
Yeah, and with there too, that's kind of with Chris Sale and David Price, they need to play off of each other. You need David Price to pitch well, and you need Chris Sale to pitch well, just so you take that pressure off of David Price. Because I mean, last season you had David Price who was injured for most of the year, and Drew Pomeranz really wasn't, I guess, what they've expected since they traded him for traded away Andrew Espinosa, who I think was their number 1 pitching prospect to get Drew Pomeranz into Boston. And then Rick Porcello, coming off of his Cy Young year, just really did not pitch well at all. So you had pretty much Chris Sale, who I feel the Red Sox kind of ran into the ground. All right, just pitched him way too much, was out there way too long, and pretty much needed him to be the savior. So you got a guy like David Price pitching well. It's gonna help out both of them. All right, and then one thing with the Red Sox too is you got Sale in the rotation, then you got Price, Porcello, and then after that it's kind of iffy. You got Eduardo Rodriguez, he's shown flashes of what he could be. He needs to put more consistent performances together for the Red Sox. Has also been someone that's dealt with injuries, and they're kind of stuck on that 5th starter. I think I can't remember who their 5th starter is. I think it's like Brian Johnson or something like that. Drew Pomeranz is currently on the DL. So with the Red Sox, they need to figure out who that 5th starter is going to be. But as of right now, I mean, the Yankees are the top team in that AL East before the season starts.
And then they're obviously, we talk about the AL East, but we are kind of forgetting about those reigning World Series champions, the Houston Astros, who did anything but regressed. They loaded up over the offseason. They grabbing Garrett Cole. Obviously, they have Justin Verlander coming back. What that is, we're talking about those AL East teams. They are chasing the Astros, and then obviously you have the Indians coming out of the AL Central, which is seemingly kind of weak this year. So the Indians should have a pretty good chance winning that division and getting some wins racked up there, because like in baseball, you play those division rivals 19 times each. So that's just wins right there for Cleveland. And then the Yankees and Red Sox they're going to play each other a lot, obviously, and that's going to, I think, probably even out their wins regarding the matchups between them. But the Astros, I mean, I've never seen so many clutch home runs hit in a World Series. I mean, whether it was Dodgers pitching, throwing meatballs right down the middle, but Jose Altuve, you got Carlos Correa, who I remember actually watching being drafted back out of the Puerto Rico. I mean, he's a stud. And then obviously George Springer, who hit another home run today to start off their game. The first guy I think they said ever to hit a leadoff home run in an opening day game back-to-back years.
Oh. Yeah, with the Astros too, that's kind of funny. We're talking so much about the Red Sox and Yankees, and that kind of just shows like when they're good, they dominate the headlines. But it's true, we need to talk about the Astros. They're just coming off of a World Series win, and it's not like, okay, they won the World Series, now it's like they're not going to. Like they probably have one of the, if I'd say the best chance to win the World Series once again this year. They're probably the most complete team in baseball, and it's like you got those young guys in Altuve and Correa. And it's like now, it's not like they're just young guys anymore. It's like they're young, but they know they're good. They know what they're capable of, and they know what it takes to go out and win a World Series. So with Houston, it's just a matter of, it's going to be difficult, but can they get back there? And then we'll move over to the NL West right here, okay? We got the Dodgers, who lost the World Series. Dodgers haven't won a World Series, I think it is, since 89, I believe.
85.
85? Is it 85 or 89?
89 was the A's.
What about,
that was the Babe Ruth series.
They win in 88, no?
Oh, 88, yeah. 88 was when they beat the A's,
West.
Kirk Gibson,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
But either way, so you got the Dodgers in there. You got the Diamondbacks, who I think, did they win? It was the Rockies and Diamondbacks. I got to refresh my memory. It's been a while. The Diamondbacks and Rockies, who played in the wild card game last year in the
I think
NL?
they played each other.
Yeah, played each other in the wild card game.
And I think the Diamondbacks won that game. I can always double check. It doesn't matter. They got whooped by the Dodgers in the NLDS.
Yeah, and it's just the thing I was getting at there. It's just a matter of, you got two teams who, I guess, quote unquote, made the play-in game for the playoffs, the wild card game, and you get the Giants, okay? They brought in Longoria, I believe it was, McCutchen. Like, go ahead and give me your thoughts on just that NL West division.
Well, the NL West is going to be it's going to be tough. Obviously, there is that the Dodgers they've made themselves known as that number one team. It's going to basically, I think, be a fight for second place if there's not going to be a team to step up. The Rockies, they've gotten that pitching finally kind of figured out. Obviously, they've got those hitters with Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu. Nolan Arenado is geared up for a big season. He's probably my sleeper pick for the NL MVP, playing in that ballpark. Where the ball just seems to fly out, but it seems like it's flying out everywhere now. We got home runs all over the place. But no, the Giants, they're looking to get, I mean, obviously with this Madison Bumgarner injury now to start off the season, they're going to be without him for at least the first couple months of the season, which is a big killer for them. But they're looking to get more runs scored with those big bats, those veteran bats in the middle, trying to get Posey protected in the middle there, get Brandon Belt to start hitting better. But no, definitely the Dodgers looking like the favorite in that division, and then it's going to be battle with the Diamondbacks, Rockies, Giants, and then obviously the Padres even looking good too. Obviously they got Eric Hosmer on that big 8-year deal, but they still need some work.
That's one thing too. I saw the Padres gave Hosmer an 8-year deal, and when I saw, I was like, yeah, that would have been, I guess, a cool deal a couple of years ago. It seems like now the MLB is starting to go towards the whole, we're not paying you all kinds of money. Because with JD Martinez with the Red Sox, I was paying attention a lot. And it's like, I feel like Scott Boras felt he was going to get Martinez around $200 million, like one of those big deals, kind of like what Hosmer got. But that wasn't the case at all. I think Martinez ended up signing like a 5-year, $105 million deal, something around that. So it's like with the Padres giving out all that money to Hosmer. Because isn't Hosmer, he's got to be like around 30 right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's getting close. Yeah.
So it's just kind of dangerous giving those guys those big deals and stuff like it. Kind of like, you hope it works out for the Padres, because the Padres just really haven't been a good team since, I don't know, since Adrian Gonzalez start out there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess since he was out there.
It was him and Jake Peavy.
Yeah,
they had some pretty good years. I mean, they were fighting for that division championship, but no, the Giants kind of took that one over when they went for their little 3 World Series in 5-year run.
Yeah, that was quite the run by the Giants. They won like 3 World Series in 5 years. You said, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and even then, so now it's kind of like you're just waiting for the Giants to get back, but it's just that Bumgarner injury really hurt him from the start of the season. But if he can get back, if they can pretty much, all you got to do is just maintain. All right, don't go down too much. You got to maintain your spot till Bumgarner gets back, and just pretty much take off from there.
Yeah, play scrappy ball. I mean, they got the Dodgers. I think they played the Dodgers like 10 times to start off the season. So they got to just kind of play scrappy baseball, throw a lot of strikes. I mean, the Dodgers, they got those big lefty starters. So they got those 2 righties coming in with McCutchen and Longoria. So let's see if they can counteract that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun baseball season right here going on. I think we had a lot of good teams. It's a little bit more balanced all around. You get teams like the Phillies who are stepping up. Like I said, the teams in the AL East kind of play well. The Twins, I think, are going to be taking that little next step, possibly making a wild card appearance this year. And then like the NL West is pretty stacked there. And now it's just a matter of, I guess, now it's just baseball season, so we got to wait and see how everything ends up.
It's a long season, Jesse.
Yes, it is.
It's a long haul. It's a marathon.
Yeah, 162 games. So, I mean, if your team starts off kind of slow, don't get too worried about it. If your team gets off too hot or starts off really hot, then just temper it a bit and wait and see, all right? But either way, that's how pretty much our thoughts on the baseball season overview going on. All right, we got games going on right now. And, yeah, we're actually going to wrap it up right here. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports and making our picks for tonight's NBA game. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked basketball, we've talked football, and we've talked baseball. Been a well-rounded show, I guess you could say. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we've had fun. So this segment, as we always do, we're going to talk about whatever else is going on in the world of sports. We're going to start off talking about Canelo and Triple G, talk about that fight a little bit. I mean, the fight that probably won't be happening. I'll give my thoughts on it.
It's too bad.
Yeah, Thomas will be
that needed a rematch.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a rematch, but it's just a matter. I don't know. We'll give our thoughts on it right now, and then we'll be talking. We'll be giving our predictions for division winners, wildcard teams, and then we'll pretty much give our World Series predictions, I guess. We'll do matchups. We don't got to pick teams, or we could pick our World Series winners, but these are subject to change, all right? We still got a bunch of games left to go.
It's way too early, but we'll do it anyways.
Yeah, because that's what people in sports do, all right? We make way too early predictions and go back on them most of the time. So that's what we'll be doing, and then we'll be making our picks for tonight's NBA games, and if anything else comes up, we'll be doing that. So let's talk boxing, okay? So Canelo, Triple G, really anticipated rematch. We had... I guess you say that fight ended in controversy with I think it was a majority draw or something like that, I think it was. And, I mean, you got Tate. I've talked about him with the fight, talked about the fight with him. And personally, before they even gave out the scorecards, okay, and you're going to have to pretty much go off of my word here, I did think the fight was a draw. Triple G was the more active fighter, but I felt like when Canelo went in, he was landing his shots more so and was very efficient with his fight. So I did think it was a draw. Did you get a chance to check the fight out at all?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Triple G definitely was more active with the hands, but I mean, you gotta give Canelo some credit because he was taking those blows, but then obviously still stepping into that area to get hit, but obviously landed those counters and definitely getting those points on that counterattack.
Yeah, so even there, but then you got Tate saying that it was Triple G did win it. I could see how you could say Triple G won it, but again, I thought it was a draw. Thomas feels the same. But either way, now it's looking like the fight's not going to be happening. You got the MGM, I think it is, saying that they're going to possibly just be given refunds for the fight since it's likely not going to happen. Okay, Canelo failed one of the voluntary drug tests. Failed it. I think he had clenbuterol in his system, and then took another test a couple days later, something like that. Took a more recent test and didn't pass that one either. So it's looking like, yeah, he got suspended because of that test. So now it's looking like the fight's not going to happen. And with Canelo, this is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen to his career at this point in time right now. Okay, Canelo, since he came onto the scene, obviously, all right, we're calling it is. Mexican fans are very big in boxing. Okay, they will put you out into the top. All right, they'll put you up there. Not with like he wasn't on the same level as Mayweather, but he was probably the guy he was the next biggest star in boxing, I guess you could say. All right, Mexican fans are always going to put you up there. Okay, they're always going to support you. But even like with this, you got Canelo not passing these tests, and now it's just a matter of the fight's going to be postponed. So I guess now there's no winning for Canelo, I guess, with this whole thing. If he were to rematch Triple G in a later date, it's just a matter of, well, what would have happened the first time for the second rematch, if it would have happened on schedule instead of Canelo failing those tests. Maybe Triple G could have won. All right, now Triple G's older and all that. So with Canelo, now it's just a matter of there's no winning, I guess you could say. Wouldn't you think so?
Oh, no. Nope. And then it kind of sucks for Gennady as well, Gennady Golovkin, because he's not going to have a chance to prove himself after that fight where he thought he probably earned the win. But there's the issue with the drug tests. Obviously, Canelo came out and say that it was because of some meat, Mexican cow meat he's eaten, and obviously Golovkin's like, no, that's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crock, and they don't like that. Obviously, it's time to cancel his fight. Yeah.
So personally, they're gonna cancel it. I'm a bit disappointed. I was really looking forward to this fight. Hoping it didn't work out, but this is also a blow to boxing here too, because these are the two. Canelo's the biggest star in boxing right now. Triple G. He's a star, but he's not as big as Canelo, okay? We could look at the pay-per-view numbers and all that. You got Triple G when he's not fighting. Canelo is on HBO, Showtime, whatever he signed with. All right? But nonetheless, this would have been a big fight for boxing. After this, I'm not sure really what big fights you could put out for boxing. And it's like with the heavyweight division, okay? You got Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. That's the big fight for the heavyweight division, but it's just a matter of I don't think the casual fans in boxing right now have caught up to the fact that the heavyweight division is making its comeback, okay? The 90s and 80s and all that was very popular, even like in the early ages of boxing, 70s and all that. I know boxing's been around longer than that, but I was born in 96, so that's early ages for me. But either way, the heavyweight division is starting to make its comeback, and I just don't think that it's been promoted enough, and there's not just the casual fan hasn't caught up to it yet, like I guess the diehard like me, you could say, would or anything like that. So I guess that's the next big fight for boxing, but it's not going to sell as much as a Canelo and Triple G fight would. So I'm sure this fight's going to end up being put back on and stuff like that, but just at a later date. So we'll see about it. But me and Tom now, we're going to make our way too early predictions for our division winners and wild card picks, and then we'll be picking our World Series matchup and then picking our winner, I guess you could say. So let's get into it right here. AL East, who do you got winning that division?
Oh, it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, Boston and the Yankees. I'm going to take New York. And I think the Boston's going to be hot on their heels. They'll get that wild card pick. But I'll take the Yankees. They have that bullpen. They have those hitters. That's a good combination. The starters will probably fall in. But having that bullpen on the back end, being able to close games out is a big deal. So I'll take the Yankees.
And I think I got to go to the Yankees, too, as much as that pains me. With Boston, it's just a matter of we got to wait and see what happens with David Price. If David Price isn't on in the season, then Yankees are for sure winning that division. So I'll go with Yankees, too. And for the wild card, one of the wild card picks, I got the Red Sox also. AL Central, we got KC, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota. It only really comes down to two teams, I feel, and I think we both know who we got in this one. Who do you got?
Yeah, the Indians. They're a really complete team. They might be worried about a little bit about depth, but in that division, they don't have much competition other than the Twins, who are kind of coming up. But I feel like the Indians are definitely the winners there. Yeah,
and I got the Indians winning that division, too. Let's move on to the AL West, and we'll make our second wild card pick, since we both got Red Sox with one of them, right?
Yep.
All right, so the AL West, you got the Astros, the Angels, the A's, the Mariners, the Rangers. I'll go ahead and make my pick first. I got the Astros, obviously. The most complete team in baseball, World Series champions. Who do you got?
Yeah, I got Houston. Houston definitely coming off that World Series win. They're just gonna pick up probably they left off. I think they're gonna get that AL West win. The Angels and the Mariners. I like Minnesota. I like Minnesota a lot, but I'm gonna actually go with Seattle for my second wild card. They're gonna sneak in there. It's gonna be a battle. Obviously, that's why I like the fact that they added that second wild card for Major League Baseball. It just makes September so much more interesting. It's gonna be back and forth, I think, between Minnesota and Seattle. Maybe even the Angels in there, but I feel like they've wasted Mike Trout's career with the fact that they haven't got any good pitching. So I'm going to take Seattle in that second wild card.
Yeah, and even then, so you mentioned the wild card game. That's one of the best games of the postseason, too. It's just like pretty much like a do-or-die game right there. It's got a lot of hype to it. But I'm actually going to go with the Angels for my wild card team. All right, Angels and Red Sox, okay? I think you mentioned the Angels have pretty much wasted Mike Trout's career so far, and it's kind of weird. You've seen a Bryce Harper who has played in Washington, and they're always going to be connected, Mike Trout and Bryce Harper, just because they're the two biggest players in baseball right now. I feel like, didn't they come in at the same time? Came at the same time and all that. So we got that. But, the Angels got to get something done, and I feel like they realize that too. So I feel like they're going to finally make the wild card this year. If they end up facing a team like Boston, obviously we got a whole season to go in the wild card. I'm sure I'd take Boston in that game. But either way, like I said, we got a whole season to go.
I do have a quick question. What do you think of Ohtani? Do you think he's going to be a better hitter or pitcher?
That's a good question. I mean, it's kind of weird because we've never.
He got his first hit already.
Yeah.
First at bat, first hit.
Really?
Yep.
We've never really, is he, I gotta go, because I haven't really checked in with him too much. Is he going to be, in the rotation and all that?
Yeah, and they're going to go a 6-man rotation, so he's not going to pitch every 5 days. He'll be every 6 days, and then he'll be a DH. I don't know how Mike Scioscia is one of those. He's a great manager. Probably going to get into the Hall of Fame as a manager, winning that World Series in 2002. But he's definitely going to. If anybody's going to find a way to mix a talent like Ohtani in there well and efficiently, it's going to be Mike Scioscia. And he's got that. He's got some nasty pitches. I've watched him pitch a couple times in the spring, and I mean he's got a slider that is downright unhittable.
Yeah, with Ohtani, it's just a matter of I'm kind of like I've said before, I'm not really a guy who likes to take risks in sports and stuff like this. With Ohtani, it's kind of we've never seen this before. It's almost
it's unheard of.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like it's gimmicky or anything like that, but I want to wait and see. I've never seen this before, so I can't really make a decision on it, you know?
Understandable.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see, but I mean, I don't know. I'm very excited now that they mentioned he's going to be in the rotation because I haven't seen that yet. Remember when they signed him or something like that, and they said he was going to have to get Tommy John, and they made someone with elbow injury or something like that?
Well, they were saying something like they didn't disclose. His agent didn't disclose some injury. I guess. I mean, he pitched just fine in the spring. Whether it was some rogue report that came out, but yeah, he definitely had some sort of elbow injury. They may have said something about Tommy John, but he seems like he's all right, and he's rehabbed it back, and he's ready to go. Yeah,
that might have just been one of those stories where it's let's throw something out there and make it something out of nothing. But either way, those are our picks for the AL. Then for the NL. Let's go NL East. All right. Of course, you got the Nationals who, I mean, it's you follow hockey, right?
Yep.
The Nationals.
Like the Capitals.
That's exactly what I was getting at. They are the same thing. They got a very great team. All right, but for some reason, when it comes to the postseason, it's every year in the NHL, is this the Capitals' year? And that's one of it's kind of a
joke.
Yeah, it's kind of like a running joke, and it's also kind of serious. I don't know, but with the Nationals, that's the exact same thing. So with the Nationals, I mean, I'm going to pick them to win the NL East, but now it's just a matter of you won the NL East. What are you going to do in the postseason? Who do you got in the NL East?
Yeah, I got the Nationals. I got that 1-2 punch with Scherzer and Strasburg up top. They can hit with the best of them. Obviously, you got Bryce Harper, but Anthony Rendon and Ryan Zimmerman coming up behind him in that order. I'm just interested in seeing obviously what they can do in the playoffs and if they can keep Bryce Harper in town or if Bryce Harper is going to go out of town.
I feel like the only way they keep Bryce Harper in town is if they go out and win the World Series, because I feel like Bryce Harper's probably caught wind of this team, we choke a lot in here. And plus, I mean, he's going to be getting big money from whether it be, I doubt it'll be the Yankees now they got Stan, but you got Chicago, maybe even a team like Boston. I think, Bryce Harper's dog's name is Wrigley, so I think that might be a little...
Go to the Cubs.
Yeah.
Well, I know the Giants, they stayed under because there's a luxury tax threshold in Major League Baseball, so if they stayed under it this year, next year they'll be prime ready to spend some money.
Yeah, Bryce Harper on the Giants would be pretty nice there.
He likes that porch in right field.
Yeah, and even then, so I mean, that add pretty much to the Dodgers and Giants rivalry. So yeah, we both got the Nationals winning the NL East. NL Central, I mean, I got the Cubs. Any surprises here?
No, I got the Cubs. I think the Cardinals, if we're going to go wild cards off the bat here, I think the Cardinals are going to squeak into that. Maybe actually no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to go Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee Brewers in that first wild card. We'll come back to my second wild card, but yeah, definitely Cubs winning that division, and then I'm going to go Milwaukee Brewers with that. They revamped that lineup with the Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain. They're both on the outfield, so they're going to get that first wild card. Yeah,
Milwaukee's been that team has been kind of like a dumpster fire the last few years, but now it's finally they're starting to bring in the players good enough to where they can make some noise. So yeah, I got the Milwaukee Brewers finishing one of the wild card spots too, and then the NL West, I got the Dodgers winning that division. Who you got?
Against all of my upbringing, I'll have to take the Dodgers because they are just definitely the most complete team. With Bumgarner out for the Giants for the first month, it's going to be tough. It's depending on how the Giants do. Like I said, it's a long season. We don't know what's going to happen, but with that injury and the fact that the Giants play the Dodgers 10 times, it's going to be tough if they get down in that division and make its way back during the rest of the season. But regarding that second wild card, that's going to be a toss-up, honestly. I think there's 4 teams fighting for that second wild card. You're going to look at the Cardinals, looking at the Rockies, Giants, maybe even the Arizona if they're not regressing some this year. But if they can hit, they lost JD, obviously. But I think it's going to be that 4-team race for that second wild card. Maybe even, you could throw in Milwaukee there for those 2 spots. 5 teams going for those 2 spots. Yeah, and even then, so you got to worry. Philly's a team who's probably not there yet. They're pretty young still, but they're on the up and up. But I guess for my wild card spots, it'd be Milwaukee. I'm going to go Colorado, too. I like the way Colorado's played baseball last season. I think this year they're going to take another step up. Last year, I think they lost to the Diamondbacks in the wild card game, and I think this year they'll be back in there, and we'll just see, I guess, what happens there. But who you got for that wild card spot? Well, yeah, no, I got I got those 5 teams. I definitely Milwaukee number 1. I'll take the Rockies. If the Giants, they're my 2B, because if the Giants can get that together with their veteran bats, but definitely the Rockies in that second spot.
Yeah, so that's what we think. Let's go World Series matchups. Who do you got?
Oh, I like the Astros getting back in there. I think the Astros, it's going to be a rematch in the ALCS, Astros-Yankees, but I feel like the pitching and some of those nasty arms they got with Verlander and Garrett Cole is going to neutralize those Yankee bats. They're going to get back in the World Series, and then I'm going to take the Cubs to get back to the World Series. Way too early pick here. I don't know how their pitching is going to stack up, but I mean they didn't want Jake Arrieta back. They got Yu Darvish, so I mean I feel like the Cubs and their bats, a slimmed down Kyle Schwarber, Ian Happ now hitting his stride, going to play every day. Contreras and Baez both playing pretty good. So I think I'm going to do Cubs and the Central and West teams. So we're going to go Cubs and Houston.
Hey, I've noticed since you've been here this week, we have a lot of the same predictions. I'm going Astros and Cubs too. I don't want to go Dodgers because the Dodgers always seem to let down in the postseason.
The Cubs are hungry. They got whooped by the Dodgers last year.
Yeah, and with the Dodgers, it's just a matter of they're like the better version of the Nationals, I guess you could say. With the Nationals, I'm not that bold to pick them to go to the World Series. So I got Astros and Cubs, and if I had to go pick, I guess way too early, I'll go just off the top of my head, pick them Cubs or whatever. It doesn't really matter yet, but that's how I got it.
I think the Astros are going to be that team to repeat
again.
Yeah, they're stacked. I mean, the fact they got another starter, so they have a top 3 who's just going to be absolutely lethal with Keuchel and not even Lance McCullers is a great young pitcher, but now Garrett Cole and Verlander, their pitching is just absolutely geared up for the playoffs.
Yeah, we could be witnessing the beginning of a dynasty.
Barring any injuries, of course.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we could be witnessing a dynasty. That's the beginning of it. But either way, now we got to make our picks for tonight's NBA games to wrap up the show. So let's get into it. First up, we got the Wizards facing off with the Pistons. Detroit's actually favored in this one. They're a pretty good home team, so I do understand why, but I'm going to go with the Wizards. Who do you got?
I like Detroit. They're still fighting. I mean, they got the Wizards are still kind of injured. They're playing at home. Last time I went against Detroit at home, they burned me. So I'm taking the Pistons.
All right, so we disagree there. I got the Wizards. You got the Pistons, and we got the Bulls facing off with the Heat. This is an easy pick for me. I got the Heat. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think the Heat. I like the Heat.
All right, then we got the Thunder facing off with the Spurs. This one's in San Antonio. They're a very good home team, 29-8 at home. Thunder are 18-19 on the road. Thunder are a very hard team. Like their games are very hard to pick because you never know which team is showing up. I'm gonna go with the Spurs just because of that reason. Who do you got?
Yeah, I like the Spurs. I like the way they match up with the Thunder. Their defense is gonna stymie Russ a little bit more, and then like you said, it's hard to pick them. But I'm gonna take the Spurs at home.
All right, then we got the Pacers facing off with the Kings. Okay, I'm gonna go with the Pacers. Obviously, the better team. Kings are they're the Kings. Who do you got?
I got the Pacers as well. Yep, Kings even at home, they need to lose. I don't want to call them tanking, but they should be.
Yeah. Then we got the Bucks facing off with the Warriors. Okay, Warriors have been without a lot of players. I think Draymond's gonna be back for this game.
KD
possibly,
and Draymond
they're both gonna be back for sure. Yeah, so they're both gonna be back. Milwaukee is a team. I don't know. I want to go with the Warriors since you got KD and Draymond back, but I just feel like that's not going to be enough yet, you know? Their first game back and stuff, I feel like it's going to be not like rest, but it's just something about it. I'm going to go with Milwaukee in this one. I'm going to go against it. Usually I don't pick up against the Warriors, but I think this is going to be one of those times where I do. So I got the Bucks winning this one.
I got the Warriors at home. They're due. They got their guys coming back. Those bench players have been playing well. You throw Draymond, you throw Durant in there with those bench guys. That's 20, 30 more points right there, adding to their average. So I got the Warriors coming at home.
All right, so we got those are our picks. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked basketball, we talked baseball, we talked football, we even talked boxing. We made all the rounds today, so it's a fun show throughout. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Thomas is actually going to be heading over to the GSMC Baseball Podcast next Monday if you want to check that out. Is that correct?
That's right. I'm going to be doing baseball, and I'm going to be doing college football on Mondays and Fridays, and then Wednesdays is going to be baseball and fantasy football. So tune in for all of those GMC podcasts.
Yeah, make sure you check those out when you do. All right, so thanks, Thomas, for being on the show. It was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a fun one, Jesse.
Yeah, so thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.